everybody. Now it's time for some question and answers. Okay, I actually have some questions already up there, but I would love to have that interaction with the panel, you know, live with you guys. You've been listening to me yip yap all night. So, if anyone has any questions, if you would please raise your hand. Sydney is going to bring the microphone over to you, and speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm Heather Blessing, and my question is for Ashley. Do you anticipate like having any kind of yoga classes at your studio, like specifically focused on that, or is that just something you kind of incorporate within like private lessons, or what are you using at your studio for that?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? We can think about that. Hey, thanks. I don't. I'm going to switch. That's okay. I'll give you this, I'll give you this, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about taking my yoga knowledge to the next level in our studio. I've been practicing for about 6 years now, and I'm just about to do my teacher training. So when I am fully certified, then I'm going to either have totally just yoga classes at the martial arts school, or I'll combine it like yoga and martial arts, which I probably will do that. I've already, when teaching kids and adults at the school, I already do a bit of yoga, stretching exercises with them at the end, or I incorporate it in the warm-up with like kicks and that sort of thing. So yes, I'll definitely be incorporating yoga as part of martial arts training. I think it's really like going to be a new thing, like this new discipline that you can have, like yoga and martial arts. In Ireland, we have a lot of other things like yoga for golf and athletics, all that type of thing. So I would hope it would take off here in the US as well, as I can see it taking off in Ireland. So it's really a great thing for me and the school and for my dad, Edward Downey, and for martial arts as a whole. So I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. So my question is, when you create the demos and things, how often do you have a skit to go with it, or like a theme, I guess? Is that always?
No, not always. It depends on what we're doing the demo for. The team that I have now, we worked on one demo that we presented last year at Mr. Rienzo's tournament in August. And we've kind of stayed with part of that, but we've modified a lot of it. So it just depends. Sometimes if I have a small, demonstration that I've been asked to do, I can't usually do the whole thing. So the longest demo that we did was the one that she was referring to, which was done in Europe, and that was, I think it was 18 minutes long. But it had a lot of different sections to it. But usually we don't do them that long. It depends on what the person requests. Typically they're 10 to 12 minutes long, and they have maybe 3 or 4 parts to them. So we can go into a school and maybe do 1 or 2 of those parts, or to like the YMCA. I'm going to be going there in a couple of weeks, doing a demo for their camp, summer camp. And they usually have about 300 kids in their summer camp. So we do about a 10 or 15 minute demo at the most, and then we'll go in and teach the kids a lesson. So they break these 300 kids up into about 10 or 12 kids in a group, and then we teach them, a little star block or something like that, and give them a lesson. So it just depends on what people want and all that. We try to tailor the demos to what people have asked for. Does that answer your question? Okay.
By the way, the demo, the 18-minute demo, was really like a Broadway production. It was like a play, like a mini play, because it had a story at the beginning and the end, and you have never seen so many things done with a bar stool. It was.
I have that video over there on the computer, so if you want to see that. But yeah, that particular demo was called The Dream, and the whole idea of it was we had a little girl that fell asleep in the beginning. or was put to sleep by the older girl. And the whole thing was the journey of becoming a black belt. So the little girl was dreaming of being a black belt, and the demo incorporated all the things of that journey to become a black belt. So it was quite a production, and yeah. And thank you for the thought on that.
Hi, I have a question for Ms. Owen. My name is Mayuko. How long did it take for you to put the play, the demo, together, like 18 minutes?
It usually takes about a year. We will start off if I know I'm going to be doing a demonstration, something big like that for a tournament or whatever. We'll start out. We form the team particularly for whatever demo we're going to do, so that we make sure everybody's on board, because that was done over in Europe. So we took 24 kids over to Europe along with their parents, which is quite a production. So the fundraising and all of that stuff takes a long time to get put in place. But it takes about a year from the beginning of the concept all the way through. And it's always a work in progress. So we'll start out with looking for music and then getting ideas. I have a background in music, so that kind of helps a lot. And I'll listen to a piece of music and I can kind of see in my head what type of movement it feels like to me, and I'll go from there. And then I always take input in from the kids. And the kids are phenomenally creative, and it just builds. The stool one that she was referring to really came about in one of our classes where we had those props, like I was talking about. I give the kids props. And in that particular case, I gave 2 of my black belts that had been with me since they were 5 and 6 years old just an old stool, and said, see what you can come up with it. And they came up with some phenomenal ideas. And our class meets once a week for an hour, and at the end of that class, it was like so exciting to all of us. After classes were over, we spent about 3 hours in the studio that night just playing with that stool, coming up with more ideas. So it's a great tool to use, and use it in your classes just to excite your kids, because they'll love it. And think of crazy stuff,
Thank you very much, Ms. Owen.
Hi, my name is Javier Betancourt, and my question is for the ladies who have the multiple schools. How do you keep the parents motivated to bring the kids to the school? Because a lot of times the kid wants to come to school, but the parents get busy, and then, we'll take you next time. Oh, we're busy today. Oh, we're going to the basketball today. How do you keep the parents motivated to bring them to the karate class instead of the other?
Education. I think we're not only getting paid to teach the kids karate, but we're more than anything getting paid to remind parents their responsibility if they want their kids to be disciplined, if they want their kids to be able to defend themselves, should they get into those later teenage years, so that they've got the confidence to stand up and say no to peer pressure. But at the end of the day, all of those things are going to take consistency, and that's where we gently remind parents on their responsibility in getting their kids to where their goal is. I'm going to go ahead. Do you want to pass it down? There you go. Education. And this education, by the way, doesn't just take place with one-on-ones. It doesn't just take place during their their first meeting after 2 weeks when you bring them in. It comes through your newsletters, whether you do it via online or whether you print out newsletters. That way it's not directly related to them. It's how you respond when they tell you Johnny needs to take 2 months off because Johnny's doing baseball. All that type of stuff through all the different avenues, through Facebook reminders, through Facebook pictures, right? All of it is going to help play a role in educating your parents.
Another thing that's really important is to keep the child really motivated, because if they're happy, the parents want to keep the kids happy, so you want to make sure that, that they're getting constant attention. If they're falling behind, you may talk to the parent about bringing them in for some extra help because you want to keep them along. Or if you have a child that is moving ahead quickly. You want to kind of give them an accelerated program to help them, achieve their goals. And I think one of the biggest things is parents are real motivated to want to, do what makes their kids happy. So if you keep the children happy, that also helps as well. And make sure that your follow-up has to be really exceptional, especially with children. If you say, we're going to have a progress check next week, you better have a progress check next week, because they'll come, what are we supposed to have? They'll remember that very, very, very much. Also, I think through extracurricular activities, sometimes you have motivating things that go on in the school. You might have a family night, or a family week, or sometimes if you have a special celebration. Those kind of things help to keep the parents. It's like you want them to see the value and make sure that they realize that their child is making progress. And I think also I think you said real well, is that getting to know the parents, talking to them and say, look at the improvement that they're making. Also, you have to kind of spot the times when the kids start to lose a little, they get a little, sometimes not motivated, I'm sorry, a little jet lag kicking in here. Let's try it. They lose a little enthusiasm when something they're learning gets really difficult. I can almost predict, as soon as we start teaching a long form, the kids go, I don't want to go anymore. And I'll say to the parents, they're on long form 1, aren't they? And they'll say, yeah, so that's exactly what happens, because it's hard. And it's okay that it's hard, but now my job is to teach your child and help get through that struggle. And the good side of that is that now you're going to see a kid who worked through something that was hard, and now they've achieved that goal. And the best part about it is they feel really great that they did that. So a little bit of that as well. Spot the times when the kids are starting to lose their enthusiasm because the training gets hard. Hold them accountable to make sure they get through it, and things like that will really help as well.
Men speak. I'd like to say just a statement, no questions, but Mr. Parker has to be looking down right now, and he has to be extremely proud of the entire board. And you've done a wonderful job. Barbara and Mrs. White, I think it's phenomenal what you put together for your group. I think it's wonderful. Group, women, whatever. I think it's great. Thank you.
Hello, Diane Wheeler from the UK. I just want to say I second that. I've never seen so many women in martial arts before. And I just want to also say it's great to see Doreen here and Diane Parker, 2 women that I really look up to in the martial arts. Now I'll get on to the question. It's for everyone really. It's you talked about parents being motivated and children. How do you motivate yourselves to do something that's sort of day in, day out as professional instructors? I have a small club in London. I do it once a week, and that's hard enough. How do you guys motivate yourselves? It's a question for everyone out there.
I liked it too. I had to think for a moment when I heard your question, and I'd have to say, not unlike our students, that we motivate them with stickers, high fives, props, new belts, whatever the case may be. From my perspective, and I'm probably not alone in this, every time I see that one kid who no longer is walking in with their head down on the floor, or that one child who's now doing their form with no concern of what they're going to look like because they're so confident in their form, or that kid that is now excelling in school and for so long they've been told they have ADD and they're not going to do well. Every time one of those instances comes up, it feels like a victory. And that victory takes you through some classes when you've got 10 little 4-year-olds that are running around, twisting around in circles, and it kind of reminds you what the later picture is. And for me, that helps motivate me anyways. There's going to be a victory, and I like to win. I'm sure I'm not the only one who likes to win.
Have you been teaching a long time? Is that what you're saying, that like you've been teaching and it's hard to walk in that door because you're doing the same thing over and over? Is that kind of the...
For me, it's not a full-time. I might be wrong in saying this, but I would guess most of the professionals,
Yeah.
professionals
Because if you've done it forever and ever and ever and ever, sometimes it is hard. You do have to think about yourself and do something for yourself also, because you give a lot. You're giving of your energy, you're giving to the kids, you're giving love, you're giving counseling to the people that come in and tell you all of those things. And that's a lot for you. So you have to do something for yourself, whatever it is. Yoga, music, you know, whatever. So you do need to do something for yourself, to give yourself that energy, whatever it may be.
The way to stay motivated, I look at it in a few different ways. First of all, you have to stay personally motivated to train. You have to stay personally motivated to teach, and then you have to be a motivator. So all of those together. I know for me, I agree that whenever I see that kid that smiled where he wouldn't, or the kid that got an A in school because their focus improved, those are victories. One of the things that I like to do is help students to set goals and achieve them, because success needs a deadline. If you give them small incremental steps to work toward, it helps it become a more manageable thing. And for me to be a participant in that, I always feel as though I've been given a privilege that I get to leave my thumbprint on their heart for that day or for that time. Some of my students have been with me for over 30 years, so it's an amazing thing that that there's still that connection that I'm able to do that. For me personally, I take time to learn something new. I studied Reiki, I studied Systema. I went back to school and got 2 master's degrees in teaching. So professional development, and I always get on the mat. I've been doing this for over 40 years. I still get on the mat. I learn, I train, I teach. That's what keeps me motivated.
Hi, my name is Lauren, and my question is for Mrs. Scanlon and for Mrs. White. The Women's Symposium is fabulous, and I know I'm inspired by all of the women that I've met in this art, and can't wait to keep growing and learning. So I wonder if for Kempo women, if there may be a time where it could be a longer event, like a retreat, because I've been to a number of seminars, and they've all been taught by really fabulous men. But I would love to go to a seminar, or 5 or 10, and learn from these courageous and strong women. So that's a question for Mrs. Scanlon and for Mrs. White. The self-defense seminar is so fabulous, and I keep using that word because it's the only one I've got right now. But I could see that curriculum growing and maybe being like 2 weekends long or 2 days, so that that bit of knowledge that is so empowering could maybe become something more seated in that person. So I don't know if you gals have thought about any of those.
Well, actually, I have not thought about that. What a great idea. Let's do it.
I've actually thought about that because I very often feel that the 3 hours for the self-defense class is not nearly enough. So I would like to, that's a great idea. I would like to expand that. As far as the symposium, I envision it to be, and hopefully, something that is not just a Kempo symposium, but it's martial arts women throughout, all systems. I think it's a fantastic idea. I know that I've talked to my husband, and he's mentioned maybe a symposium for our invitational tournament. I've also talked to Aisling Downey about a huge symposium, a full day in Ireland. And so we talked about that actually when we were there in May. So I hope that this is something that really takes off, and we just see it very, very, very frequently. This is the kind of the starting blocks, and now we're learning from this, and we hope we'll get better and better and more and more and more.
People have asked me, well, would you like to be part of a women's seminar or a women's
weekend, etc. And as I get older, my view on this has changed quite dramatically. In my younger days, my answer is, I do not want to do a special women's seminar or something like this, because I said, the men in my growing up years never excluded me from a workout saying, well, I'm sorry, this is a men's seminar. You cannot come, the door is closed to you. No instructor closed their doors to me, so I never wanted to have a women-only seminar that excluded anyone for any reason. As I get older, I realize that women in martial arts is sort of an anomaly in a way, because this is a martial art. This isn't yoga. And by the way, if I had listened to some of my teachers that said, you must do yoga, you must do the internals, as well as doing this very brutal, striking art, I would have saved myself a lot of surgeries. So please, I beg you to take yoga and these other types of arts to heal your body, because if you do not heal your own body, it will catch up to you like it has caught up to me. But as I get older, I realize that there is a place for women to get together and explore some of these things, because it is very treacherous sometimes to navigate this very male-dominated world that we live in the martial arts. So what I say is, don't do a female-only training instead of, but you need every single hour on the mat that all the guys do. You need to do every single one of those classes. And then you need the extra time to do that intense training and to get the support system that you need to explore some of these doubts and problems and things that you might only feel comfortable dealing with in more of a female situation, because there are questions that you have and you might not be able to really articulate that in a mixed group. But really my thought now is that you do every single bit of the training with the guys, and then you do something extra. And so weekend training, a seminar somewhere, you may have to do that while all the guys are partying afterwards, and then we go somewhere else and we do more. So it's in addition to, but not in lieu of, not instead of.
Before we close out here, there is something that came across my desk while I was in my office over here. We have, it's called the Pink and Black Celebration. It's honoring lady warriors of the martial arts. It's October 3rd, 4th, and 5th of this year. It's in the Hilton Southwest Houston. You say Living Legends, and you receive VIP room rates. Dinner and show is $100. And if you're interested, please see Gary Lee. He is here tonight, and he also has a table downstairs. I would like to thank all of these incredible martial artists for being here today. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for sharing your experience. And thank you to all of you for what you have done for women in Campo, including our 5 gentlemen.